Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number Lucky 7 of Opinionated Diva presents Plenty of Tiff. I am your girl, Tiffany, aka Opinionated Diva. Let's jump right in for the week. The Diva Drop. Last week, it was America's Next Top Model. This week, it's American Idol. Whether it's reality TV or the state of this country in general, America is not having a very good week. Or, if you want to be honest, it's not having a very good 402 days so far. I don't know what's in the water, but these idol alums are giving handcuffs and homicide, literally two of my favorite subjects. If you've seen even just one of my episodes for even 2 seconds, you'll know that I'm a true crime buff. But what I'm talking about in terms of American Idol are Dimitrius Graham and Caleb Flynn. I don't know about you, but an interrogation room in Ohio and the LA Metro are talking, okay? Let's start by taking a red eye to LA and hopping on the LA Metro. I am talking about Demetrius Graham, who was a season 17 top 10 finalist on American Idol. And can you believe there have been 24 seasons of American Idol as of this recording right now? I did a quick Google search and only a handful have made it big. I want to say maybe 8 and then maybe 13, 14 altogether. And believe it or not, they're actually all from the early seasons when things weren't as whatever they are now. Go figure. But interestingly, he also appeared on season 27 of The Voice, but he got eliminated pretty early on. Anyway, Demetrius was arrested this past Sunday on an LA Metro train. The charge? Trespassing on the LA Metro. He told authorities that he paid the $1.75 fare on his phone and he had a digital ticket, but he only had 1% charge and then it died, so he wasn't able to show it to them. Instead of getting off at the next stop, he gets into a back and forth with the cops. He said he would buy a ticket, but authorities claim that was only after he had already been arrested. Okay. Demetrius told TMZ, of course, because why not, that the police fractured his wrist and now he's out of $10,000 in missed gigs. Now hold on, because I've seen some artists perform with some pretty serious injuries, broken arms, broken legs, concussions, and let's not forget, Leanne Rhymes singing mid-performance and her tooth flew out. But Leanne, you don't hold the crown for that because, Mama D does. And that would be Little Scrappy's mama, Mama D. Well, her tooth actually flew out as well. So she takes the crown for that one. All I'm saying is, yes, I know you have a, fractured wrist, but should that really stop you from your gigs? I don't know, Demetrius. But listen, let's face it, for real. As a Black man, he himself knows better than anyone not to act out. He even said that. He was like, I'm not going to be acting out. I'm a Black man. I know how to act around police. But honestly, if I'm being real, that's actually bullshit because you can look any way you want to and you should not have to fear the police. But that's the reality that we live in. So whatever. But with that being said, I'm not sure that performing an opera session because he did start singing opera to the LA cops to let them know that he wasn't a threat. But I'm going to go with that probably didn't help them to understand your mental state by singing opera. And I watch LA Patrol. That's actually another true crime show that I watch. And people do some crazy things when they get arrested. And singing opera is kind of up there. However, I don't know. Okay. But I want to go somewhere else with this because I'm actually on Demetrius' side with this. I live in New York. I am a commuter on the MTA, which is the Metropolitan Transit Authority, and our fare is $3. So I stand in solidarity with anyone who evades the fare. Even though I know you said you paid it and it was digital, your phone died, whatever. I think there are so many other things that could be done on these commuter trains that letting someone hop over the fare and arresting them and tackling them down and arresting them and putting something on their record for $3 is ridiculous. But that's just me as a New Yorker. Now, Demetrius says he has no plans to sue. I don't know why you said that on record, Demetrius, because once your phone charged, I know the ambulance chasers were all over your phone and all up in your DMs, honey. Gigs be damned for me if I were you. I would be singing all the way to the bank on LA's dime. But that's just me. Another missed opportunity, brother. I don't know. That's what I'm just saying. If you can talk back those words and find you a good lawyer, I think it's worth it. Now that we're beyond the Metro mess, let's get to another Idol alum, Caleb Flynn. This is actually serious because it takes a very scary, dark turn. We're going to Tiff City, Ohio, where Caleb Flynn, who auditioned for season 12 back in 2013, was just arrested for murdering his wife, Ashley, a 37-year-old school teacher. This is a story straight out of one of my true crime episodes called Evil Lives Here. If you haven't heard of it, you're welcome. Tune in. But he called 911 at 2:30 in the morning, hysterical, saying that an intruder broke into their home and shot his wife in the head twice, while his two young children, I think they're both girls, were asleep in the next bedroom. According to police, he even staged the scene. What police found that they're releasing to the public right now anyway is that they found his 9mm shell casings in the home. And he wanted to get out of jail, but the judge said, okay, if you can afford this $2 million bond. He pled not guilty, but that is to be determined. And what makes this case even more sinister and intriguing for someone like me is that Caleb is the son of a pastor, and he himself is a pastor. They said a music pastor. I'm not really sure what that means, but he's a music pastor. And for all of my true crime addicts, we already know that being in the house of the Lord does not mean anything when it comes to criminality and being a murderer. So it's not really a plot twist when it comes to that. But that just goes to show that some people will use church to hide the monster they have inside their own home. He is innocent until proven guilty, and we don't know what other evidence that the prosecution and the investigators have that they have presented to the judge or will present to the jury, honey. So stay tuned, and I know I will. And while we're on serious news, right? So talked about the LA mess. We've talked about this murder. American Idol is going through it right now, although I think they are on season 24 and seems to be going good. It's on Hulu, Disney Plus. So if you're trying out for it, why not? I want to talk about the reality versus reality. And this is a serious topic, okay? It has to do with mental health. Just this month in, quote, celebrity news, I'm going to talk about a very serious, heavy topic. So if you get triggered by things like that, please feel free to skip this. But we're going to be talking about, again, mental health. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Utah, Mary Cosby, her son, Robert Cosby Jr., who was 23 years old, passed away on February 23rd, and reports indicate that it was being treated as a possible overdose. And this just comes weeks after he was released from jail and his mom, Mary, was publicly celebrating his sobriety. So I'm going to go through some more of these type of incidents in celebrity news just to kind of give you a grasp of where we are in the state of our mental health. Catherine Hartley Short, comedian Martin Short's daughter. She was 42 years old, and she died on February 24th. She was a licensed clinical social worker, guys, and a mental health advocate. Reports indicate that she died by suicide at her home in her Hollywood Hills, and I think her suicide involved a gun. Nathan Smith, also known as DJ Young Flayed, he was 27 years old. This is the son of rapper and producer Lil Jon, and he was found deceased in a pond near his home in Georgia on February 6th at the beginning of the month. And he had gone missing after leaving his home, according to reports, disoriented and without his phone. Rondale Moore, this is an athlete. He was only 25 years old, and he was a former NFL wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings, and he died on February 21st. Police confirmed it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and he had been struggling with a career-altering knee injury. Robert Carradine, he is 71. He was 71 years old, and he was on and known for being the father on Lizzie McGuire. But if you are auntie or uncle like myself, you remember him from Revenge of the Nerds. But he passed away at the age of 71. So he wasn't young, but he passed away from a valiant struggle with bipolar disorder. And they called it a valiant struggle that I'm sure he's been struggling with for years. Now, the diva in me wants to tell everybody to get it together. But the human in me sees that this actually is a pattern. And we are looking at a mental health crisis that doesn't care about your tax bracket, okay, or your last name, or what you've done in Hollywood. Being in a dark place doesn't go away just because you signed a reality TV contract or a movie contract or you're going on tour. Literally, Martin Short's daughter, Catherine, was a licensed clinical social worker and mental health advocate. She dedicated her life to helping others, but she couldn't find it to help herself and find that light within herself. And so that just goes to show that those who heal hurt also. I want to make it clear that I am not sharing these stories because a celebrity or a celebrity parent's pain is more important than yours. I am not talking about these families because their grief is heavier than yours. The only reason that these names are in the headlines is because at one point in time or currently, they or their loved one entertained us. They got our attention through the TV screen or on the field, but their pain is no different than mine or yours. The reason I'm using these names is for awareness, not for celebrity gossip, not because they're special. Everyone's struggle, your struggle is valid. We are all just people in the world trying to make it to tomorrow. And some of us hunting to the next hour, next second, next day, next minute, right? If you are struggling, and this is real, if you are struggling, call 988. Don't let your story end today or this week or next year. We have so much to live for. And the only reason I'm not putting Britney Spears in this conversation more than what I am right now is because she still has hope for herself and she has to want it for herself. But I am here to say, if you are someone who was even remotely a fan of hers, send prayers her way because she needs it. And her behavior is at least concerning and at most life-threatening. And I'm going to leave it there. Next topic. One of my favorite segments of my show, Shine, Shade, or Side Eye. And last week, honey, I had to add Fix It Jesus to it. But this week, I don't think I have to. I don't think so. First up, the Epstein Files, or as I like to call it, the Billionaire Boys Club and their extracurricular activities. The latest dump of the Epstein Files hit the news this week, and it is eye-opening to say the least. This whole thing, though, if I'm being honest, makes me think that the Hollywood madam, Heidi Fleiss, it makes her look like a nun from the original Sister Act. And if I might say, the judicial system and Hollywood owes her an apology. They do. Heidi, they do owe you an apology, girl. And I'm just going to sing a song to go with that. I apologize. Oh, believe me, I do. I apologize. So honest and true. They're not going to sing it, but I'll sing it to you. This week specifically, though, I'm talking about Bill Gates. Yes, that Bill Gates. Microsoft. I'm pretty sure some of us use it right now. I could throw in theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking and that release photo of him and two bikini-clad, hopefully grown women, and what looks like to be perhaps a Bahama Mama drink in his hand. These women were allegedly his years-long caretakers. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to let this man rest in some pseudo eternal peace. So I'm not going there, but you all can look at that photo for yourself. Back to Bill and those like him. Let's be honest. Do we expect rich, powerful men to be faithful? No. Is it surprising that a man with $100 billion thinks the rules of marriage don't apply to him? Absolutely not. Surprises no one. But the details coming about you, Bill, trash. The reports say that Epstein was allegedly bragging about Bill's trysts and helping him get surreptitious medication. Put a pin in that. We're coming back. And then we have Melinda Gates, who is the queen of grace when it comes to this. She went on NPR this week and says she is filled with unbelievable sadness and that Bill needs to answer for himself. Amen, sister. He himself, Bill, held a town hall for his Gates Foundation staff and straight up admitted that he had affairs with two, count them two, at least two, Russian women while he was married to Melinda. Honey, multiply that times 10, but go for it. It even gets more specific about these two Russian women, though. One was a Russian bridge player, and the other was a nuclear physicist. Now, I'm no mathematician, but honey, let's make 2 and 2 add up, okay? A bridge player and a nuclear physicist, you really do have a tight bill. But it's giving international man of mystery and make it nerdy and unfaithful. Epstein was a degenerate. to the nth degree. But even more than that, he was petty as fuck. Documents show that Epstein allegedly used these affairs of Bill's to blackmail him. He even paid for the bridge players' coding school and then sent Bill an email basically saying, hey, remember that bridge player? Your girlfriend? I paid for her tuition. Pay me back. Allegedly, it's in the files, honey. They also alleged that Bill needed some surreptitious medication to clear up his dirty deeds, and I mean that figuratively and literally, that he got from the Russians. They really do not like Americans, do they? One of the richest men in history, and you're getting blackmailed by a predator over a Russian bridge player? Bill, make it make sense. This is why we say, though, watch the company he keeps and how they treat their mother. But Melinda warned Bill about Epstein back in 2013 after she met him. But he kept going to that man's house, honey. Now we know why. He chose a nuclear physicist over a queen, Melinda, who's been giving out mad money, specifically the HBCUs, holla back. And now he's apologizing to his staff because even you have to admit that your personal transgressions have cast a shadow over your foundation's reputation. Who, by the way, their mission and philanthropic efforts are ones that I actually believe in. It just sucks that he is dragging that name down. It's the hypocrisy of it all for me. You spend all day through your foundation saving the world and improving global health, but you couldn't even keep your own health in shape with your marriage, could you, Bill? It's also the entitlement for me. These men think they can buy a clean reputation while they are living dirty. Melinda's moving on, and honestly, all the shine for her for finally getting her piece, hopefully, in that coin. But to the men, and you know who you are, the ones that are guilty, if not legally so, morally so. If you were one of those mentioned in 3 million pages, you get the side eye, the shade, and a one-way ticket to Karma Court. Now let's read the room. If you've seen any of my reels or my shorts over the past week, you know that America has been a dumpster fire, for lack of better terms. It is Black History Month. It is the 100th year anniversary of celebrating Black History Month. But what I like to call it is 100 years of just because. Let's get into it. Read the room. We are closing out the 100th anniversary of Black History Month. And while we have spent the month celebrating our excellence, I can't let this week go by without talking about the tension that's not even been bubbling. It's been boiling over at the surface. It's time to read the room. And today the room is feeling very unbalanced. The scales are sometimes unbalanced, and we bear the weight of all that has to be. 100 years later, 100 years later, and it seems that society lately, and by lately I mean Black History Month, has a new favorite hobby, which is asking Black people to hear the full context when someone spits in our face. We saw it at the BAFTAs with John Davidson during the ceremony as Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo stood on the stage. A racial slur rang out from the audience. Yes, the BAFTA production team is 100% at fault here because now we know that it was a delayed broadcast and you could have totally deleted that and removed it from the actual airing. So that's 100% your fault. However, the context that we were given is that John has Tourette's syndrome, and specifically coprolalia. And if you don't know what coprolalia means, it is a person who has involuntary outbursts or of obscene and socially inappropriate language. And it only affects about 10% of people with Tourette's, but it is real. And I'm saying that for those who think Black people can't understand medical terminology, and those people do exist, or I wouldn't have to say it. The question isn't only why was that the involuntary word that just so happened to be one of the most painful words in the English language as it relates to Black people. For me, more importantly, is why is the burden on us to be the bigger person and understand the neurology while we are absolutely involuntary triggered by the word itself? I'm just going to give you some examples about being triggered. I'm someone who doesn't like to be touched when I'm walking down the street unknowingly, right? Like tap me on the shoulder or on the back, and my first reaction is a little turn around, Muhammad Ali style, my fist up, ready to strike you with the 1-2. Now, should I understand why that person felt it was okay to tap me on the shoulder in a city of strangers just because they see you face to face every other time? I'm just asking. Let's take it a step further. What about a cute cherub, chubby, wobbly, little cute names that keep walking towards the stove and it's hot, and you've told them time and time again, don't go by that stove, but they can't help it. They keep going by it and pop their hand. Or you scream and yell and scare them till they know, honey, going by that stove is bad news. I don't want to go. Right? That's how you get them to not have that behavior. Now, I'm not saying because Tourette's is totally different. I get that. It's a neurological condition that is involuntary. But what if I didn't know you have Tourette's and you blurt the N-word out of me and my first reaction to punch you in the fucking face? Huh? What about that? Am I wrong? Because not that I don't understand Tourette's, but I didn't know you had Tourette's. I-E-Y-E, do, D-U-E, not K-N-O-T. No, you have Tourette's. So now I'll punch you in the face, now what? But I do want to say this. If you can't understand why I would say that, that is because, and I want you to think about it. Put it right here. Think about it. If you can't understand what I'm saying, that is because there is no word in the English language that can be blurted out enough for you to even be offended. To the point where someone with Tourette's neurological brain says, I don't even know of a word that's that offensive for them. Can you imagine? You can't, can you? I'm so tired as a Black person being on the receiving end of this expectation that I have to understand everyone else's nuances while all the trauma that we have is treated like it's an inconvenience or they didn't mean it that way. And I should understand that. We saw the same thing. This was in the news this week. Goodrich High School in Michigan. And go figure, Nicole Curtis, rehab addict, who's from Detroit. They're probably related. A student at a basketball game, as a Black basketball player is at the free throw line about to make a free throw. Someone yells out the N-word mid free throw. And it was a student. Here's the statement from the superintendent. We take matters like this seriously, which is why the student section was promptly removed. The matter was investigated and the conduct was addressed according to their student code of conduct, whatever the hell that means. My question is, was it really addressed? What was really addressed? What is a bigger reprimand that needs to happen here? What is a corrective action that you're going to do to prevent this from happening again? Because you can't go into their minds. They're already thinking it. They already go home and talk about it, right? Suspension? Please. This boy is probably in his basement right now talking to his virtual make-believe friends on Fortnite, talking about how he yelled the N-word out while he was at a game. Nothing against anybody who has friends on Fortnite or even plays Fortnite, but I need to give a relatable example, and this just so happens to be it. I love you all. And back to Tourette's. Because let's be fair. Because a diva is always fair, unless I'm fighting. Research actually shows that Black children are underrepresented in Tourette's diagnoses. Not because Black people don't have it, but because of medical bias. Allison Friedman, you should know that, right? Hunter College. If you don't know, go to my reels, look her up. When we exhibit involuntary behavior, when I say we, I mean Black people, it's not considered, oh, wow, they must have Tourette's. It is, they are aggressive or they have ADHD, right? That's what it's called when it comes to Black people, not Tourette's, which is why it's underrepresented in diagnoses. I dare say, I'm sure it happens, someone Black with Tourette's may have this condition where they blurt out obscene and insensitive comments. I haven't heard it, but I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's just underrepresented. But when it comes to John Davidson at the BAFTAs, and nothing against him. Honestly, I do understand your condition, but you have to understand where we're coming from too. And in your apology, you did everything but that. You want everybody to understand you, but you can't understand us. But that's typical. Tourette's or not, honey. Tourette's or not. And this is nothing against the Tourette's community. So do not try to come for me, honey, because I have all day. Now, I was talking about Allison Friedman. Again, if you don't know who she is, look her up. She is currently under investigation. Associate professor at Hunter College in New York City. She was on a hot mic moment at a virtual meeting about some potential school closings in New York City. And she said some racist shit. Period, point blank, poop. So on the news, they, went out to do the story. I live in New York, so it was a local story. And there was a student at Hunter College, and I'm not going to call him out because you did that enough when you got on camera saying that dumb shit you said. She called us dumb. Well, here we go. But if you're interested, it was NBC News Channel 4. He said he watched the whole thing. Right now, if you hear the clip, it's only, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, right? Maybe 30 seconds. But he watched the whole thing. And he said, basically, paraphrasing, he wished that everybody could have watched the whole thing because you would have understood she didn't mean it in that context and that she didn't agree with the things that she said. Honey, this is why you need to keep going to college. Keep going. Keep going. And is there a class called Common Sense? Because you do not have it. I'm talking to you. I'm not saying your name because you didn't say it either, but you are on camera. What in the reclaiming my time hell are you talking about? So when someone says Black people and dumb and backdoor and train them in the same breath, I'm supposed to say, oh, wow, let me hear more so I can get that context. Read the room. You're not as bad as Allison, but you are adjacent. You're teeter-tottering. And I'm not going to record, because I did, a clip of you saying that, and I was going to post it, but I'm not doing that because that's not fair, even though you were the one who voluntarily got on there and said that. But I will say this, empathy is a two-way street. If you want us to understand anything about you, your condition or context of whatever you were saying, you have to understand us as well, whether that is trauma, us being triggered, or us not being fucked with. You can't expect a people who have been historically silenced and insulted to just turn off a reaction because you have a neurological condition. The impact of it all does not change just because your intent was involuntary. And so that's something I want you and the Tourette's community to understand. I really, really do. So I would be more than happy for you all to come out with a statement of your own, at least acknowledging that part. So as we leave Black History Month, the shortest month of the year, no less, stop asking us to be CEO. And by CEO, I mean Chief Empathy Officer, for the mistakes that you make. If you have a condition that causes you to cause harm, the responsibility is on you and your caregivers to protect the space that you go into, and not for us to contextualize our own degradation. We're not doing that shit, okay? We are 100 years into this celebration, and I'm just kind of tired of understanding people being racist. I don't want to understand it anymore. Like, I think I have enough of it, okay? So read the room and stop using context as a shield. Those are my final words on the subject, so protect your peace. That is it for this week's episode of Plenty of Tiff. You can find me on Instagram at Opinionated Diva, TikTok at The Opinionated Diva, YouTube at The THEE Opinionated Diva, and make sure you subscribe. And if you are on Spill, I am on Spill, the Spill app. It's pretty fun in there. Until next month and next week. Peace.